So, there's been a lot of developments recently going on in the UK. The last time I talked about, what's been going on in this country and, all the above, right? I didn't want to talk about it anymore because, I got really depressed. Well, I'm always depressed, but, the stuff that's been happening has got really let me down and all that stuff, right? But then there's been a lot of recent developments here and there what's been going on, and I really want to talk about them because this is a really big deal, right? So to start off with the Prime Minister's circle of buddies, friends, or whatever you want to call them, right? There was two people that got resigned or sacked recently. I don't know these people's names. If that's an issue, like how do you not know these people's names? Does that? I mean, listen, it was old news. I mean, there's a bunch of YouTubers out there covering it. So if I don't get any facts right or people's names correctly, I mean, listen, there's a bunch of people who are talking about this. I mean, if you've been following what's been going on in the news lately, I mean, I'm sure that you should know, but I want to just talk about it, right? So, start off with this woman who, Suffing Rainer, whatever her name was, right? She was, from my understanding, she was someone who was Starmer's right-hand woman or whatever, right? Who was her role essentially, from my understanding, she was someone that, if Starmer couldn't run the country for whatever reason, right, she was next in line to become prime minister. That was my understanding of what I remember, right? Well, she resigned because somebody found out that she was not paying her taxes. I mean, if some, normal UK citizen out there who didn't pay their taxes or whatever, they would either get fined, arrested, or whatever, right? But apparently, this woman hasn't been paying her taxes for what I remember, like over a year or maybe a couple of months or something like that, and that's just fucking insane. Like, the UK citizens have to pay whatever to the government, all right? But then someone like Raina, who in a high position where she is now, doesn't pay her taxes. That's just absolute corruption right there. I mean, it is what it is. That's what it is. It's fucking corruption. Like, they expect us to pay whatever to the government, while the people who are running this country don't want to pay their taxes. How scummy is that? But anyway, she resigned, not because the error of her ways and all that stuff. No, it's because she got found out, and if she didn't resign or whatever, someone else would just straight up fire her. Or if she's still around Parliament, the backlash will be extremely severe. But at least she had the good idea to resign while she while she can. So yeah, that happened, and then the next thing that happened was this guy who was the UK ambassador for the USA or something. He got found out because he was apparently buddies with Jeffrey Epstein. There's a whole bunch of videos about this guy. I mean, I'm not going to go into it deeply, but if you know who he is, you know who he is, right? But the ambassador guy was friends with him because they found some like emails and stuff like that. And this is someone like Jeffrey Epstein you should never be associated with, especially with someone who's in higher power with this UK, especially when you're someone like a UK ambassador or whatever, right? But he got let go, fired or whatever. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you really do not want someone like this, like being associated with a certain individual who's done horrible things, while you're while you're you know while you're working with the prime minister of this country. Keir Starmer, like, I saw like a video of like the place where they do like debates and stuff like that on like the left and the right and this and that. He tries to defend this guy, like, like, oh, he's sorry for being associated with him. The UK ambassador being associated with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I mean, right? Keir Starmer was like trying to like defend the guy and this and that, like, all this stuff, right? And it's just absolutely nuts, right? Like trying to defend someone. I mean, look, this guy, I mean, like, he probably was just like, friends, buddies with Epstein or whatever, right? He may have not done anything like out of the ordinary, or like done like horrific things like Jeffrey Epstein has done. But the bottom line is, like, in this sort of time, you should never be involved with that sort of person, like, ever, because they could absolutely dig into your own personal details and all that stuff. They can absolutely find some really disgusting stuff. So that guy got fired also. It's funny to me, like, all around Keir Starmer, like, these people who got resigned, fired, whatever, they done some shady stuff in whatever possible way, right? And apparently, I mean, I only saw like a title of this. I don't know if this is true, so don't quote me on this. But the person who replaced the Rayner woman, there's some allegations that this guy is a fraudster. And I mean, like I said, I only saw like a title of it. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? It seems to me like everyone around Keir Starmer is either like a fucking criminal or has done something shady in the past, and these are the people who are running the UK, right? It's absolutely insane. So that happened, and only very, very recently, which I think it was yesterday or something, or maybe today, I don't know, there was a huge protest in London with this guy named Tommy Robinson. Now, to be honest with you guys, I didn't know who this guy was. I may have seen the name somewhere, I may have seen his face somewhere, but I had never had bothered to look him up or whatever, right? But he was holding a rally, and he's been holding like rallies like once a year or something like that in London or the UK in general or whatever, just to say like, hey, all this stuff what the government has been implementing here is going against free speech and all that stuff. Immigration is getting really, really bad now and all that stuff, right? And like the amount of people who came to London in protest against all this stuff which go against the core values of freedom of speech or this and that, right, is absolutely nuts. There's people wearing the UK flag and all that stuff, right, chanting this and that, and I've seen like a bunch of videos here and there talking about it. I've seen like some of the mainstream news like saying, oh, there's been like over 150,000 people in this protest and what have you, right? But there was this drone footage I saw in a YouTube video where like I'm a bit confused, because they say that over 150,000 people, right? When you see the drone footage, like, there's no way there's just that amount of people. There seems to be more. I watched a YouTuber very, very recently, saying that there could be like 500,000 to almost like 1 million, or even exactly 1 million people out there. I don't know why. I mean, mainstream media, mainstream news, that can say whatever they want, right? But from what I've seen, there's no way there's like only over 150,000 people, right? But yeah, that protest happened. There's been obviously some, scuffle with the police and this and that, trying to keep it in order. I mean, like, the protesters are just literally just pushing them back, literally, like saying like, hey, you can't control us. We had enough of all this stuff, right? And look, rightfully so, because what's been happening recently is just absolutely been nuts, and the people they're absolutely sick of it. They're sick of what this country has become, and they need a new leader, someone that can think of the British public, put them first, right? A new prime minister, a new whoever, who thinks of the people of this country, and not think about somebody from some other Middle Eastern country or whatever, giving them money, giving them passports, giving them an ID and this and that. Well, people who are less fortunate, who's been living in this country for decades and all stuff, like, still have to suffer this and that, right? And of course, the freedom of speech stuff also. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen all these videos, I mean, the British people are strong. They are fighting back on what they believe in, what this country represents, all that stuff. They're sick and tired of the narratives that some other very, very silly people out there that, like, oh, you should think this certain way or that certain way. Whatever your beliefs are, this and that, right? The bottom line is that they're implementing something that is trying to force people to think that way, or trying to implement something that goes against just common sense. All right, that's what it all comes down to, and the British public is fighting against that, because it's wrong. It's absolutely fucking wrong. So, what does this mean? Well, there's going to be a difference. There's going to be an absolute change for this country. The more and more people who vocalize, all this stuff, the freedom of speech, the immigration stuff that's been getting out of hand, the politics and all stuff, trying to like push the narrative and force the narrative on people who are sick of it. There's going to be a change, and if you've seen this protest and all this stuff, this is an example of that. People want change. They are proudly waving the UK flag, like all the time. They're wearing the UK flag because it's their country. It's my country. We want change. We don't want this online safety act thing which spies on everybody. We don't want a bunch of illegal immigrants or whatever literally flooding the country and doing some extremely shady stuff while the government is just like trying to repress the people of this country who's been living it for years and years and years. And the freedom of speech, people have the right to speak their minds and not get arrested by 5 different armed police officers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, go watch my last video about that when I was talking about the UK before. Whatever's going to happen in the near future, whatever, I'm hoping that it's for the better, because right now something needs to change, and it seems like that change is on the horizon.